Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Your Age is Not Your Cage. This is kind of a part two to last week's with Robyn Towt on breast implants, breast cancer, breast implant illness. This is a part two with Robyn, but Amanda Porta is joining us today also, along with Robyn. And Amanda is also known as the Holistic Beauty Coach on Instagram, and her page is amazing. Her and Robyn both are such advocates for breast implant illness and making women aware of what it is. And they are just out there fighting and creating different laws and informed consents just to help women understand what they're getting into, and being aware is their focus. And so I am so excited to have these two on today. I'm going to read a little bit from Amanda's bio. The main thing about Amanda is she loves aesthetics and natural health. And I love following her page because I learned so much more, because I'm a lover of holistic health, and she stands for everything I do, and I love it. But she has worked in the beauty industry for 20 years and trained under some of the best practitioners in the country. She has incorporated holistic health into all her treatment plans, especially when she was in the plastic surgery industry. Using this knowledge, she created a non-toxic skincare line, strategized business relationships with wellness and beauty brands for a prominent Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. She is a certified health coach, and she is passionate about educating people. And now she's inspiring people just to become their very personal best. She has experienced breast implant illness, had them explanted. She's detoxed, fully healed, and she will be talking about that and what that has looked like for her. So excited to have her on. We're going to be talking about much more than that. We're going to be talking about Botox, fillers, holistic beauty, holistic health, what that looks like, along with Robyn Towt from last week. You remember her, 3-time breast cancer survivor, and she also had breast implants after breast cancer surgery and then had them explanted. And she goes into great detail about how she is advocating now to help women. So welcome these two to my show. I am so excited that they are back. And I want to say, please share this episode, even if you don't have implants. I do not have implants. I've never had Botox or fillers or any of the things that we're talking about, but I'm passionate about helping women just to be aware, to make informed decisions. And I just ask, if you know anyone that is considering this, just share this with them so that it can help them become informed as they make decisions as they're going along too. So, okay, thanks again for joining us on Your Age is Not Your Cage. And here we go. Let's welcome Robyn and Amanda. Hi, okay. We are welcoming back Robyn Towt today, who was on last week's episode. And we also have Amanda Porta here with us today, also known as the Holistic Beauty Coach. So we have both of them here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, just share a little bit about themselves, and then we are going to dig in because we have a lot that we want to unpack. So, Robyn, if you want to do a quick introduction of yourself again, and then we'll hear from Amanda.
Sure thing. I'm Robyn Towt. I'm co-founder of GPAC, which is the Global Patient Advocacy Coalition. And I became a patient advocate after being harmed by breast implants. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017, didn't do any treatment, only surgery. And my health took a really rapid decline after getting breast implants. So luckily for me, I only had them in for 4 months. I was able to figure it out pretty quickly. And that prompted me to become a patient advocate and pass legislation to protect patients and allow them to make an educated and informed decision. So thanks for having me today.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
My name is Amanda Porta. I've worked in the beauty industry for over 20 years. And I started my Instagram platform, The Holistic Beauty Coach, because when I found out that breast implants were the cause of my 7.5-year chronic illness journey, I felt like I really needed to speak out. I saw how many women in these support groups were suffering from the same symptoms that I was. And I just knew that I couldn't stay quiet. I also had ironically tried to infuse holistic health with beauty in the beauty industry in Beverly Hills in 2012. Ironically, those are the years that I was at my most sick and I had to actually kind of take a break. And then now I'm, coming back. I've spent the last 4.5 years just helping patients remove their implants. And I'm now a health coach. So I could prep them for surgery. I help them in the weeks after. I started a holistic breast team, and I am coming out with a non-toxic breast balm soon to help women understand their lymphatics and the importance of keeping them healthy. So a lot of things in the space of holistic beauty.
I love that. And repeat that again, because I couldn't understand. You're creating what? A holistic breast what?
A breast balm. It's actually called
Oh, a
breast
balm. Okay.
and it's a non-toxic balm. Yes, not only to nourish your scars after explant surgery, but also to stimulate your lymphatics and also, encourage self-exam for women. So it's for all women, not just women who explant. It can be women, who don't have implants, women who do have implants. Like I always say, if you do have implants and hopefully you're not experiencing any symptoms, keeping your lymphatic system healthy is one of the most important things that you can do.
Yes, and I cannot wait to dig into that, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself because it's like I get excited. I'm like, there's so much you just said I want to talk about. But first, I want y'all to share, because I know you have been on podcasts together and spoken together several times, which is how I ended up trying to connect with both of you. Is how did that come about? Like, what is your story about how you two connected and now how you are both out there together a lot when you do speak?
Robyn?
Well, Amanda and I met several years ago now. I can't remember. I think it was like 2019.
Yeah.
And we just connected immediately. We were like kindred spirits and, have a lot of the same thought processes. And we both realized really quickly, Amanda has an amazing following on social media, but we realized very quickly that we were being censored. And a lot of posts that we were making, really good, informative posts that we were trying to get out there to the public, were either being reported or censored. So we kind of had to think outside the box, which is very common for us to have to do in the work that we do. And Amanda started hooking us up with a bunch of podcasts. Like, if they're going to censor us on social media, let's find another place to speak. And that's kind of how we got rolling with it all.
Yeah. And it's a great combination because I like to speak of the, health and holistic piece of all of this. And Robyn's my girl for all the data and studies. Yeah. I don't have the patience for.
And that's what's so great about it is, to combine those two things together, where both are so important. And you can just feel it when you two talk. When I've seen you on other things, I'm like, oh, I have to have them on because you just have the expertise with learning about informed consent and everything that's so important with implants or explants. And then Amanda adds that extra piece of all the holistic side of it. And as we're going into that, Amanda, I would love if you would share your story, because you do have a journey with breast implant illness too, just like Robyn. And so I would love to the listeners to hear from you on that.
Yes. And I mean, I will try to sum it up because it was a long journey. Like I had mentioned before, 7.5 years of chronic illness. And that might not sound like a long time, but when you're sick every day and you don't know what is wrong, I can say now it was really scary. At the time, I just had so much pride and I was trying to be so strong. I don't think I could admit that like I can now. But anyway, so back in 2003, I was in my 20s and I got breast implants. I had something called a very minor case of tuberous breast deformity. There are two. There's tuberous breast, that's actually very common, and Poland syndrome. So a lot of women will get breast implants for that reason. I had tried to have a surgery just to correct it. I didn't have much breast tissue. So, I mean, there wasn't a lot to work with. So when I didn't have a successful outcome, I was a little disappointed. They said, well, why don't we just put a breast implant in? But that's just not my thing. And, no judgment. I just am very natural. I grew up with a mother who's natural. She's never done a thing to herself. And I really admired that. And I remember thinking to myself, like, how's that going to feel to look down in the shower and kind of see something that doesn't belong there? But in my quest to just kind of feel normal, I got them. I got saline implants in 2003. I immediately got something called capsular contracture, which in my case necessitated having to have them replaced a year later. I had to go to a new surgeon because that surgeon was on maternity leave. And he said promptly, well, let's put silicone in since we're going to replace them. You're so thin, it's going to cut down on any rippling. And I did have the wherewithal at that time, even though I knew nothing about breast implants. And I'm honest about it. I didn't do any research. I'm in my 20s. I'm like, I'm invincible. I don't have, even if someone had told me there's a possibility of autoimmune or hormonal disruption, I would have said, I don't have any autoimmune in my family. We're all so healthy. So I didn't do any research. And I said, but isn't silicone bad? Because ironically, silicone implants were banned during the time that I got them. I mean, you can't make these stories up. I was like, so I reluctantly, he said, oh, well, we've made them better than ever. We're going to be doing a study for all of you women who are getting these in. So I went to the most reputable surgeon who was working with the manufacturers, which I thought was a good thing at the time. And he was going to do a study and follow me and my symptoms to make sure I was, healthy and I wasn't having any issues from him. So I did. I said yes. I thought he knew best. I got these implants in. But within the first 9 months, I started experiencing issues with sleep, hormonal disruption. I had a ruptured ovarian cyst. Again, you couldn't prove that it was related to the breast implants, but I never had any of these issues before. I went to the best gynecologist, so I did have the wherewithal to do that too. I said I'm experiencing kind of perimenopausal symptoms, and I'm only in my mid-20s. And she said, oh, well, that's your normal. Mm-hmm. And of course, I didn't understand medical gaslighting at the time because I don't even really go to the doctor, right? So anyway, the symptoms would get worse. And after 7.5 years, I think my immune system just couldn't handle anymore. And I was in a minor fender bender. And after that, the pain in my body, that was the inflammation, was so excruciating. It didn't make any sense based on the accident. And all about 40 symptoms came out. Everything from thyroid issues, my hair started falling out, my vision was blurred. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without being winded. And I also had always kind of practiced more natural beauty, even being in the industry. I did do Botox, and we can talk about that more. But I started using natural products and all of those things. So after getting my breast implants out and making a full recovery, and I'm in my 40s when I got them out. But for like all 40 symptoms to get better, I just knew that I would be a big voice in this. And I just wanted to be able to encourage other women that, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Mm. Wow. So you had a man, is that right? Like about 20 years?
I had them in for 15.
15 years. Okay. And, Robyn and I think we might have touched on it too before about just the age. And, back when I considered doing it, I had kids late in life. And so it was after I had my kids. And so I had my daughter 38 and everyone else was doing it. And it's like, well, it seemed like the thing to do after you have babies. Well, let's, get things back where they used to be. And I know even at that age, I would not have done my due diligence researching and really looking into it because it's something I wanted. And so even if someone were going to share with me maybe some things like they did with you on autoimmune, I'd be like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm fine. Because if it's something you really want, you really don't want to know all those other details. And
absolutely. I mean, my mom said the same thing to me. She said, there was nothing stopping you at that age. And I'm the first to admit that.
Yeah.
But what bothered me when I was reading all the stories in these Facebook groups from women, and I was literally on my recovery bed, because when I started putting together the puzzle pieces that could be the breast implants, I removed them within about 3 weeks or so. Because it had been such a long journey for me. So it was resonating with me. I had tried everything else. I had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I was just ready to say, hey, let's just go for this and let's try it. But when I was reading these women, again, being victimized and being told by their plastic surgeons, oh, well, we told you that you could have autoimmune illness and hormonal disruption. I was like, wait a minute. No, because I'm there in those consults over the years. I didn't work with breast implants all of those years, but when I did, we don't warn patients of that. Is it in the consent? Yes. But I can't tell you how many women would say to me over the years, do we really need to read all of this? Do we, oh, they're just, signing away. I said, yes, it's to your benefit to read all of it. And I would say I didn't read through it all at 20 something.
Yeah. No, as you're saying that, I'm thinking guilty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have read through everything. I've had procedures where I haven't read through anything, but I can tell you now, especially after learning from y'all and being on this journey, I will be reading, anything that needs to be done. And let me ask you this, because it's come up from a couple people I know that are young moms. So one is 30, just had a baby, and she has implants and has been considering explanting. Her concern is breastfeeding down the road. And if I get them out now, is that going to affect that? Should I wait? And just kind of, have you, either one of you had any experience or any stories along that line?
Well, I can just speak for working in the industry. I know so many women. In fact, we know women, and Robyn can talk to this too, who've gotten pregnant just fine with their husbands, gotten breast implants after their first pregnancy to make them feel just like what you're saying, make them feel better. Then can't conceive again for years, have to start doing IVF. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard like this.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they do get sick in the cases that I know, get the breast implants out. Oh, and then in their 40s, I know a woman who then got pregnant again at 41 and 43 without issue. Did not have an issue with breastfeeding at that point. But I don't think it's anything that anyone can promise you, because with any surgery like that, there's no guarantee. And there's no guarantee you can breastfeed even if you don't have breast implants.
Right.
So that's my take on it, Robyn.
Yeah, I agree. And I've seen cases go both ways in whether it's people we know and have worked with, or just patient stories in the support groups. I do want to point out that the chemicals that are in the gel bleed that the manufacturers talk about in their patient education brochures that 86% of patients never get, it does talk about complications with breastfeeding, but when you have breast implants. And it also talks about the gel bleed, where the low molecular weight platinum particles do emit through the shell. They are found in breast milk. So, there are some dangers and risks involved with breastfeeding with implants. And we actually have one of my very good friends was harmed by her mother's breast implants in utero and during breastfeeding. And her mom had 4 healthy children before implants, and then she got implants, and her next 2 children were very sick. Both of them are currently in a wheelchair. I believe they're in their 40s, either at least 30s, I know. And, they've had a host of autoimmune issues. Their mother was actually an advocate back in the 90s fighting for children that were harmed by the silicone chemicals that are in breast implants, leaking through the implant shell, leaking into the breast milk. Conveniently, they've never studied breast milk with silicone and breast implants. So, that is a study that should have been done 60 years ago, in my opinion. Because, to Amanda's point, society has normalized breast implants. It's just something all your friends are doing. Like you said, Carla, after everyone has kids, that's just what you do. And then, they coin these marketing terms like mommy makeover This is for you. You deserve this. Do this for yourself. And yet they're putting you under anesthesia for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to do these mommy makeovers. So it's a very predatory industry. And another, to Amanda's point, you do sign off on some of these things in your consent forms, but as a 21-year-old patient who's been relatively healthy their whole life, you don't know what these autoimmune diseases are: lupus, fibromyalgia, connective tissue disease. So, it's really, informed consent should be a conversation. It's not just a piece of paper. It's not just an information booklet. It's a conversation that doctors owe patients the right to have when they took an oath to do no harm. And so it's really important to have those conversations, but we hear time and time again that the women say, yeah, I signed off on that, but my doctor just brushed it off and told me that's so rare. The cancers now that are caused by breast implants, doctors are saying, oh, it's so rare, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know anyone that's been struck by lightning, but I know many people who have been diagnosed with these breast implant cancers. So, and again, we don't know what we don't know. They're not looking for them. They're not doing the studies. They never followed these breast implant patients. So for them to claim that it's rare, it's just not a believable story when you haven't followed hundreds of thousands of patients every year. So we definitely need better studies done by people that don't have a conflict of interest, that are not paid by industry. And it's interesting because a lot of the studies that we do have that are very enlightening and shed, a lot of information on this, they're not done by plastic surgeons. They're being conducted by rheumatologists or dermatologists who are starting to see patterns in their patients with breast implants, and they look into it and think, maybe I'll look into this more and do some research on it. So when we talk about looking at science, we really have to look at who's doing the science as well. Because when you look at studies on breast implants that are done by doctors that are not putting breast implants in, they're not going to have that biased opinion. And it's not going to affect their bottom dollar and their cash cow. So I think it's really important when we talk about science, no matter what part of medicine we're talking about, it's really important to look at who's conducting the studies, how much money do they get paid by industry, and how much of a role is industry playing in it.
Yeah,
So
that's such a good point. Yeah, I love that. So Amanda, share with then your journey in your healing, the things that you did along the way after you had them explanted. Share with us kind of what that looked like.
So interestingly enough, in 2012, when I was at my sickest and I was trying to implement holistic health with beauty, because I was saying it, common sense would tell you, if you're not healthy on the inside, how can you possibly radiate beauty on the outside? And I noticed too, when I was sick, I said, this is the strangest illness, whatever this is that I have. I thought I had ingested something. At one point, I thought it was toxic mold. And I said, I feel like I'm aging overnight. Because for me, I kind of take after my mom. My mom's beautiful. She's 80. She's never done anything. Like I said, I always look younger. And I felt like all of a sudden, like my skin, I look so, well, that's inflammation, right? And even some plastic surgeons in Beverly Hills who don't even want to believe in BII, they've said to me, well, we don't know about this BII thing, but you do look about 10 years younger since removing them. I said, well, of course, inflammation is what ages us, right? So when I got them out, so in 2012, I had started working with a German doctor. And, as we know, Germany, they're light years ahead of us when it comes to health. He was a naturopath, so darling of a man. I said, teach me everything you can about the human body, because these Western medicine doctors here, they're just not getting it. They keep shushing me off and saying, oh, you just have anxiety. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. When something's wrong with you, especially for somebody who's never really been sick. I felt so horrible each day. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even get through my day. I was so exhausted. And so I started learning about the human body. And the lymphatic system became, to me, the holy grail. I said, wow, why don't we know more about this, especially here in the United States? And I would ask some of my doctor friends, did you learn much about the lymphatic system in medical school? And they say, no, not really. I'd say, I would venture to guess that's probably one of our most important systems in the body, because that's what carries out disease and toxins. So I started learning about that. I started playing it. We still didn't figure out it was my implants. I really believe I was supposed to go on that full 7.5 year journey to get so sick, not only so I could wake up, but I also like changed my perspective of surrender. You know, in the end, I surrendered. I was on my knees in my bedroom asking God, you know, if you could please find me a doctor who will remove these. I will continue to spread your word. I will help these women. And, you know, I've kept up my end of the bargain. He's kept his. I said, just protect me and keep a roof over my head, and I will continue to talk about it. And so I'd already understood holistic medicine and fallen in love with it at the time that I was removing them. And I knew that the human body just wants to be balanced. It wants to be in homeostasis. So, as eager as I was to heal all of these things, I also said to myself, I kind of want to see how much can just heal on its own. So I have to be honest, there was no detox plan or special plan that I did. I know everybody wants that. And I always say the same thing to my clients. It's not one size fits all when it comes to health. All of us have had different issues, different symptoms going on. So I couldn't even in good faith give you just like a detox plan or a special supplement. I started eating better, started eating an anti-inflammatory diet. I started walking again. For me, having always been athletic and really into working out, walking is always the best way to kind of start getting things going again. So the inflammation started going away. My hair stopped falling out. My vision started improving. I took a blood test after 3 months. My blood work, even though it didn't really show anything drastic, hormonally and my thyroid, you could see improvement. I did have to go on a natural thyroid medication for a short time just because it was so in the tank that I had to. But I've even weaned off of that. I take iodine a few times a week. My blood work now, 4 years later, is perfect. And I just turned 50 on Monday. So hormonally, like, and that says a lot, I think, when you can be that sick. And it did take time. And I am very honest with that with women. It's not like I woke up and everything was better, because I think that doctors make fun of BII when women say, like, I woke up and I could take a deep breath and I started feeling better. Well, that's your lymphatic system kicking back in. Well, I believe when you have a roadblock like these breast implants in your body, it's like a dam. When you have debris, what happens? The water stops flowing. And for 80% water, if you looked at Chinese medicine, they would never go for these because you're throwing off the natural water and energy flow of the body. So when we see women's, bloodshot eyes get better overnight, when they can take a deep breath, I think they start feeling better because they're getting more oxygen to their brain. Yeah. It makes sense. But yeah, it took me about 1.5 years to fully feel better. I did a lot of infrared sauna to move out the toxins that had built up, because when your lymphatic system isn't working, the toxins build up in your body. And what does that lead to? Autoimmune illness, right? So it all makes sense. I just, I don't know. I think for Western medicine, it's a shame. It's their education that they're missing out on that really could connect the dots for them. Like I can see it so easily with my holistic.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so for those that are not real familiar with lymphatic, when you are talking about your lymphatic health, I've seen some of the stuff that you've put up on, and even for me, that's an area I want to learn more about. There are certain things I do to help that, but I want to go further in it because I was thinking, I want to ask her, like, how do you find the best place to get a lymphatic massage? Where, I mean, some of the stuff you put up, I'm like, well, I want to do that, but where do I go to find it? And I know there's so many different things involved with it and things you can do at home also to help get your lymphatic system going.
Yes. Well, so with the lymphatic system, it doesn't have its own pump like the heart. So it's up to us to encourage our lymphatic each day. And as we get older, and also we're all born with, different lymphatic capability, capacity, I guess, if you will. Some people's are just probably healthier than others. But we live in a society where most people are sitting down all day at their desks, or they're, driving in a car all the time. They're not exercising as much. I think so many people, I was always shocked when at 40 years old, people would be like, oh yeah, I'm 100 pounds overweight and this is just what it's like when you're older. I'm like, not for me. I'm in the best shape of my life now. And so things like rhythmic things, like jumping on a rebounder, a small trampoline, it's harder than you think. But if you can do a little bit of that each day, walking, that rhythm of walking, great for your lymphatic system. Dry brushing is amazing. Hot and cold. Like we have a hot tub here and a cold pool, going in between the two, or even just in your shower. I finish off every shower going from hot to cold to hot to cold. It's a little almost like lever in there that just like it doesn't take a lot to get it open. But when it gets closed, what happens is your body doesn't get rid of toxins, so they start building up. And this is what I see with women with breast implants. I did some thermography scans right before getting my implants out because I wanted to see if the inflammation would get better. And I was kind of surprised because I said to the technician taking them, I said, do you see my underarms, clavicle, and pelvis? Those are your three main lymph ports. They're completely flaming red and inflamed. She's like, yeah, that is weird. So I posted my photos, and that was back in 2019. And I said to women, these are my thermography scans. I have a question for you. Are you guys sweating with your implants? And I was shocked how many people wrote, you know what, now that you mention it, no, I'm not sweating since I got implants. And I thought it was just me like, oh, I don't sweat a lot. Okay, not sweating a lot is not a good thing. We only have so many detoxification pathways, sweat being one of them. And so if you're not sweating, you're not getting the toxins out. And it's up in the air. I don't know the answer to this, but there have been some doctors who've done studies on women who go in the infrared sauna and have breast implants. They think that the breast implants, the shell might degrade faster going in the infrared sauna. So in a way, I'm kind of blessed that I didn't do that much before getting them out. But now I think infrared sauna is so great. I do it 4 times a week. So that's also great for our lymphatics. But and we can talk later when it comes to holistic beauty, though, the lymphatic is so important because I also noticed about this time how many, like, say, celebrities were getting face filler. And I'm like, they look so inflamed to me, and it's not looking good to me. It looks like it's aging them. They're looking very puffy.
Puffy.
I think,
Yeah.
the same thing applies. If you're putting this filler in and it's clogging your lymphatic, the network of lymphatic in your face, well, then you would look more puffy and it would be more inflamed. And the same with Botox. Like, I don't believe in quote unquote paralyzing or freezing the muscles. I think it's like the muscles in your body. You need to work them out and exercise them. So I started introducing the concept on my Instagram to people who hadn't heard about it of having holistic facials, gua sha facials, buccal facials. I even do one where it's almost like a pinchy kind of facial. I know that sounds like it's not very comfortable, and at first it's not. It's your fascia. When your fascia is not healthy, that's when your skin adheres and you see wrinkles. So everything that we've been taught, in my mind, and this is just my opinion, is the opposite, and it's going to make you age faster. So when I stopped doing Botox after getting my implants out, I was nervous because I had done it for 20 years. I did Botox, didn't do filler. I did Botox for 20 years. I wasn't sure what to expect. And I just had one of my good girlfriends in town, and she hadn't seen me in a while. And I said, you tell me, because she's in the beauty industry too. Do I look really any different having not done Botox? She's like, no, you look better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Speaking of Botox and detox pathways, people don't want to sweat, and they're actually getting Botox in their armpits so that they don't sweat to prevent them from sweating. It's like you're literally poisoning yourself because you're blocking your ability to, like Amanda said, we only have so many detox pathways. Injecting Botox in your armpits, you're basically harboring all those toxins in you. And I don't do the infrared sauna just because I have an intolerance to heat. But I do think it's interesting that I got my breast implants in the month of May. I got expanders in May and breast implants in August. I live in Arizona. And in August and July, our temperatures are literally above 110 for 45 to 60 days straight. And I like to exercise outside. I like to be outdoors. And I really wonder if I got so sick so fast because I live in Arizona and I got those in the summertime. I would be curious to see if I would have gotten that sick if I got them during the wintertime when I wasn't, but I mean, it's hot. And when we go outside, when it's that hot, I mean, your body temperature increases, you're sweating like crazy. And one of the first reactions I had was after my reconstruction surgery, a friend of mine that I used to teach with came over because she wanted to lay out by my pool. And I had just had surgery about 8 weeks prior. So I wasn't going to get in the pool yet. I wanted to make sure my incisions were healed. And so I sat in the shade under the fan on my patio, but it was warm out. I mean, it was hot out. And I wasn't even in the sun. And I had clothes on. And I went indoors and I had broken out in this splotchy red rash all over my chest. But it wasn't a sunburn because I wasn't in the sun. I was literally on the patio the entire time. And I was really concerned about it. And it was very itchy. It was very uncomfortable. I called my plastic surgeon that afternoon and went in the next morning as an emergency case. And, I told her, I said, I promise I wasn't out in the sun. I didn't even put a swimsuit on. I didn't get in the pool. And her answer to me was, don't go outside. On top of all the pills, she prescribed to me for all the pain and, stuff I was going to, but that was her answer. Just don't go outside.
So funny. I mean, that's the same answer. Remember, my chest was so tight. I got costochondritis, which for a lot of women, I like to say that because when they hear it, they say, oh, I was diagnosed with costochondritis. And then I was diagnosed with pleurisy. Nothing, it never got better over 6 months. They gave me a steroid. I have to say the steroid did help for like a week or two. And then it was back to normal. And I went to my primary care again. I said, what is causing this? She said, oh, I bet it was from that car accident in 2011 and the seatbelt going here. She's just like throwing ideas into the air. I said, okay, well, how do I get costochondritis better? Because the steroid didn't help. She said, just don't use your chest muscles. And I mean, me just being so desperate at the time, but really, in fact, I should have just laughed in her face. I said, and can you tell me like how long I shouldn't use my chest muscles for? And she said, oh, I don't know, 4 to 6 months. Well, you tell me, Carla, how far you could get not using your chest muscles. Okay, yeah. You use them to open a door. You use them to flush the toilet.
Yeah.
You use your chest muscle. That's not, but this is what these doctors are telling people and pushing them on their way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. I was talking with a patient this morning and she told me from the minute she was done with surgery, she had complications. She had gone back to her doctor 4 or 5 times, which I did too. This is what she told me. He tried to tell me I just gained weight and that's why I had a painful lump with my tummy tuck. I called my surgery center to get the weight the day of surgery and it was the exact same. She hadn't gained any weight. It was all inflammation and toxin. And then she told me he tried to brush everything I've come into him with under the rug with scientific talk that actually made sense when he speaks it. But I'm always left to feel like I'm the problem and they aren't helping me. And I literally told her he's gaslighting you. Like they use these scientific terms that might sound like they make sense. But in reality, it's just like Amanda said earlier. We know our body. When something's not right. When I'm sitting there with 5 bottles of pills going, this isn't right. Trust your intuition, trust your gut, because, these doctors, it's very sad that they're mistreating patients and not taking their complications seriously. And like Amanda shouldn't have had to suffer for 7 years. How many doctors and practitioners did you see during that time?
It was like 68, just with everybody total, from the holistic to the Western to the specialist to the radiologist to everyone. I counted it up once because I thought in all of those people, for not one to even ask, and it wasn't on the intake forms, by the way, of the holistic practitioners at the time either, but for not one person to say, wait a minute, do you have an implanted medical device? I wish just one had, because as soon as my colonic practitioner brought it to my attention, then it like light bulb went off. And that's all I hope, is that more people will be talking about it. In fact, we have explanted a lot of nurses, and nurses always say, thank you so much, Amanda. I had the same experience as you, sick for years. My colleagues would say, oh, well, we know you're sick, but whatever it is, it's definitely not your implants. Same with me. Even one of my plastic surgeon bosses told me, oh, there's no such thing as an illness that's associated with breast implants. Even though he worked during the moratorium, he's in his 60s now. So he's well aware that there is an illness associated with your breast implants. And so we remove them from these nurses, and they're so awesome. They'll go around their hospitals telling everybody, oh, it was my breast implants that were causing that. So people are definitely waking up in the medical industry.
I think,
just not maybe a lot of plastic surgeons.
I think there's a lot of areas where people are waking up in the medical industry. I've seen it, and I've seen it when I go to an integrative functional practitioner, and even he has talked about just the change that he's seen in people, and the change of, I don't feel like it's normal anymore that I'm supposed to feel like this or be sick or be on 10 different medications, or, so I do think people are waking up. And I think it is so important. It's what I stress over and over, even with my clients, is being your own best health advocate, because you've got to listen, like Robyn said, to that intuition, that gut of, wait, something's not right here. And when I'm in that doctor's office, I'm the one that gets to ask questions. I'm the one that wants answers. And it's okay to ask questions, even if they don't like them.
Yes, and don't think that you are a bother. You are paying them. They work for you, just like politicians, I always say. They're working for you. So don't you feel sorry for 1 second. The problem, I think, was, and I will attest to this too, in all the years I was working in plastic surgery, I didn't ever have any women coming in who sounded like me. And same thing that like my former bosses have said, they're like, I think that we were so busy asking women how everything looked, we didn't bother to ask them like how they felt. And I think all these patients like myself were going to the rheumatologists and the gynecologists, and because we're not thinking that it possibly could be the breast implants. And so I will say, if I do hear plastic surgeons, and this is just some of them, say, oh, we absolutely haven't seen this, I do believe some of them, although now I would have to say, if I've just spent the last 4 years doing 4 explants a week and helping with that for the last 4 years every week, it's not that rare. They have to be seeing this more and more and more. And we're not doing this to scare women. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this myself to take these off the market. It's not my place to make those decisions in the world. It's my place to support other women who might have the same experience I did, to give them hope. And that's it. And to just, share my wisdom with them. And if anyone has a problem with it, I say it all the time, you can come and talk to me, because this is helping a lot of women, and the work that women like Robyn do and all of these advocates is so amazing. They're not getting paid for this. Yeah. They're doing this out of the love in their heart to help others. And, the respect that's not given to these women from these surgeons who are calling them crazy, when you're actually in a profession where you're supposed to be helping people, is so outrageous to me that I'm going to continue to call it out until more people get on board with supporting these patients. Absolutely. There's still going to be plenty of women who get them. Let's face it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like cigarettes. People buy cigarettes all the time, and everyone knows they can cause lung cancer. Now, does every person who smokes cigarettes get lung cancer? No. But at the same time, like Amanda said, the disrespect of these women that are going through these illnesses, just like that patient told me this morning, how her surgeon was using medical terminology to gaslight her. There are key opinion leaders in these medical societies that are doing the same exact thing to their peers, their colleagues, medical students, and patients. And they're sitting here telling us we don't have any scientific data showing that breast implants cause breast implant illness. And oh, by the way, breast implant illness isn't even a diagnosed disease, if you will. But what they're not telling you is they've known since the early 1990s that breast implants cause multiple forms of cancer. Why are they hiding that? Why are they not talking about that? And the fact that they can cause cancer, is it really that far off to think they can cause an autoimmune disease? I mean, cancer is much worse than an autoimmune disease, right? Everyone knows the big C as the big bad cancer. So at what point I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to say things like, don't believe your doctor, but at what point do we start using common sense? If something is extreme enough and dangerous enough to cause cancer, it can cause other problems in the body. So we need to address that. And, the science, that's not my job. I don't have the funding. I don't have the scientific background to conduct a study to prove it. Those studies should have been done 60 years ago when they wanted to put breast implants on the market. And then when silicone was banned for over a decade, those studies should have been rigorous. Absolute, no stone left unturned. And they aren't. And the FDA hasn't held the manufacturers accountable. They've never even followed the patients they were supposed to follow. Mm-hmm. So at some point, we have to believe these women. There are hundreds of thousands of women screaming about this all over social media, at family gatherings. No matter who they talk to, they will share their story for nothing. They get nothing out of it. We're not getting paid. There's no money in this for us. We're not suing. There's no lawsuit. So, I mean, why would we be speaking so loudly about this?
Right. And I say it all the time too. Women like Robyn and I, when you get breast implants because of reconstruction from breast cancer, or in my case, from a deformity, you want these to work. It's not like I wanted to go through this. It's not like I wanted to take them out. I'm so happy I did now. I'm the happiest with my breasts now. I'm happy to be healthy. But we want these to work. We didn't want to be put in this position. But if you're going to ask us if we're going to just stay quiet or support these women, oh, you better believe it. I'm not going to stay quiet about it.
Yeah. Well, and it's our stories. It's the things that we've experienced and been through. And then the combined passion that I know you both have, and I have for getting stories out to women, and also in my health coaching, helping women. It's just, I mean, we have that passion and that desire to just help educate and empower and equip women, and they can go decide what they want to do with that information. That's why I always say we're not doctors. We're not judging for anything. No. This is care and concern for women out there, for people that I know that may or may not have implants or do Botox fillers. It's concern for just hear what people are saying that have been through it. Ask yourself, wow, I've had that and that and that and those symptoms too, and start doing your due diligence and just really listening to your body and asking questions. And, I think that's obvious where it's driven from for all of us. It is literally just a passion to help women, because none of us are getting paid big bucks to do any of this. Oh. And I don't care,
Right. No, not at all.
Yeah. So I totally agree. Robyn, I know you had to jump off. Do you need to get off yet? You just
I'm good. I have about 10 more minutes, but okay. This morning I was actually just looking at talking about Botox and fillers. I know Amanda worked in the industry, so she's probably more well-versed on this, but I looked up just a few, and Amanda, I might be wrong. I don't even know if these are popular ones. I know Botox and Juvederm are very popular. Belotero, Hyloform, Restylane, Belafil, Cosmoderm. I looked up all of these just like on the FDA website for adverse effects. And, again, just like the breast implants, doctors and injectors are not telling patients, they make you sign, everyone just signs off on it, but they have 10 girlfriends that have done this. But then we see the horror stories, we see the botched jobs, and even the very best surgeons that these women are going to. And, I looked up everything from patients having eye pain, headaches, blurry vision, anaphylactic reactions. One patient had an anaphylactic reaction. She did a skin test for the product and she did get itchy, but because she didn't get a rash, they proceeded with the product. And she had an anaphylactic reaction. Pain in their tear ducts, lumps after they were getting injections, they came out, they ended up having lumps that needed to be medically removed, and medical intervention with osteoma cutis, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically calcium deposits in the skin. So it's just like breast implants and fat transfer and, tummy tucks, all these procedures that women are doing, that their friends are doing, that it's just normalized. They come with risks, some very serious risks, some of them. So I think we need to treat it as such. And if someone is, I've seen patients have extreme weight loss surgery, and so proud of them for doing the work and losing the weight, but they're left with sagging skin. And so they want that skin removed. But really just know, be informed, do your research about the risks, because the doctors aren't telling patients. And I'm sorry to say that, but we did a survey in 2020, and over 5,000 patients responded. And the booklet that the FDA told to all the manufacturers to give to every patient, 86% of patients aren't getting that booklet to tell them about the breast implants that they're putting in their body. So, if the surgeons aren't doing their job, we really need to push ladies to do the research and get that information.
Yeah.
Also an aha moment. So this is what I'm saying. When you get breast implants, at least this was my experience. They become part of you. That's why, I never even thought of this when if we were talking about my health, they were part of me now. But I don't even think most of the women who have them in them now are understanding the highly flammable, toxic chemicals that are in these. And so, of course, you're not ever going to be as healthy as you could be if you didn't have over 40 highly toxic chemicals inside you. Most of these women, I had to be the bearer of bad news, telling them that the silicone shell is even there and present on the saline implants. They thought, oh, I have saline, so I'm scot-free. And I will tell you from my experience that BII affects women who have saline, silicone, all the manufacturers, whether they're round, whether they're teardrop, whatever it is. I've seen it in all of them. I've seen it in young women. I've seen it happen quickly in women. I've seen women who are in their 70s and 80s who claim that they are perfectly healthy and they've never had an issue. I feel like I've seen it all at this point. Or I've talked to also thousands and thousands of more women who weren't patients, who just follow me and share their stories. So, I'm not saying that every woman's going to get sick from them. But there's enough now that look at some of the things that they ban, the Odwalla drink that I can't remember how many people were injured from that, or that Samsung phone. Those were recalled, and this was very few harmed or, killed from it. But then you've got hundreds of thousands, if not now, we don't have any data that will support how many women have suffered from BII over the years. But you still have this product and it's not been recalled other than, the textured implants. That's bothersome to me. And Robyn.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. I wanted to ask on Botox and fillers, because again, it's something I haven't done. It's something I went to estheticians. I looked into it way back when, and I was always just too nervous. I was so afraid I was going to be that person that had a reaction or something happened. And I'm glad I was that way. And so I haven't had it done, but people I know that have had it done, or people that have had issues, talk about fillers like clogging up. I think, Robyn, you mentioned that. And I'm like, what is that? Because I'm not very familiar with what's in a filler. What are they putting in you? Again, another foreign substance. I think that's what's hard for me to grasp, just like implants, when you really dig into it and read what these things are made of and what's really in all the chemicals. And so I think about that with Botox and fillers too. Like, what is it that you're injecting? All so close to so many things that could just go wrong.
Well, I think it's the lymphatic, your lymphatic, it's a network of vessels all through your face and your body. That's what I believe the filler and a lot of people I speak to, estheticians, et cetera, believe is the issue there. I had a woman who was a hairdresser and I felt for her. She had hyaluronic acid in her tear troughs. and she needed a little bit dissolved with something called hyaluronidase. And after having the hyaluronidase done that dissolves it, she felt the feeling of it all going into her sinus cavity, causing a lot of issues. She asked me finally, Amanda, have you ever heard of this before? What should I do? She was going not only back to the practitioner who originally did the filler, and they said, I don't know. I know how to put it in. I don't know how to help you with something like this. She said, something's not right. It's uncomfortable. I can feel it all through my face. She went to 15 and paid for these consults with 15 different professionals, dermatologists, plastic surgeons. They're like, we don't know how to help you. I finally said, well, here, this is just my common sense. I don't know if it's going to work. Go and have thermography, see if you can locate it. And guess what? The thermography located it right in her sinuses, where they were basically calling her crazy and saying that there's no way that that could be. And through manual massage in her face, worked it out to the point that she felt comfortable again.
Wow.
So that bothered me, that she was being treated the same way that I was treated with the breast implants. And, you know, I follow Gretchen, who has Never Talks. I don't get deep into the filler and the Botox other than just to, you know, encourage women from my journey of stopping if they want to, because I feel like it will dilute the breast implants. But she's a great resource, Never Talks on Instagram. And there are many women harmed by Botox. I would say it's getting up there with the breast implants, and people don't talk about that at all.
Do you think that has, I mean, and this is completely, we're not medical professionals. We're just
No.
offering up what we've learned and what we know. Do you think it
Yeah.
has to do with anything with where people are going now to do it? There's all these Botox parties. There's people that will have them in their home, like, and the professionals that are doing it. I just wonder sometimes if that has to do with it too, if you're not really going to, I don't know what their titles are, certified or whatever, but if they're not going somewhere where they're reputable, you know, that the products they carry are legit, they're not expired. I've heard about that before too, using expired Botox at Botox parties. I mean, that's the
Sure.
kind of stuff I think about.
That would be a concern. I left an office once because I found out that they were ordering filler from China. And I said, I'm out of here. I think it's the toxicity we have these days. It's in our air, it's in our soil, it's in our foods, in our water. I think it's people have a certain toxicity load that their bodies can handle. So like for me, the breast implants put me over the edge, where the breast implants aren't going to be another woman's kryptonite. So I think it's just all the toxins we have. You're just going to see people get autoimmune illness more frequently and get sicker faster. So that's another reason why I'm just putting it out there. If you just do a little Botox here and there, but you have a really healthy lifestyle, you don't have implants, you're probably going to be fine. Same thing, maybe with the implants, if you're super healthy and you do everything else right, maybe you're going to be just fine. I'm just saying that, like, if we want to live a less toxic lifestyle, be aware of what you're putting in your body each and every day and choose wisely.
Yeah. That's
I agree. And I mean, obviously it does matter where you go. You don't want to go to some back alley shop that's, you know, working with black market products. But I've seen the best, most popular surgeons in Beverly Hills and West Palm Beach and all the places, and women have complications. Like I went to one of the best reconstruction surgeries in the Valley in the Phoenix area, and, you know, I had complications. So a lot of times I mean, obviously it is important where you go, but a lot of times I hear the plastic surgeon saying, well, she probably didn't go to a board certified plastic surgeon. Yes, she did. He's actually triple board certified. And, you know, everybody in Hollywood goes to them. So does it matter? I mean, obviously you do want to go to a board certified doctor, but that doesn't mean you're safe from any of these risks that can happen.
Right. Yeah. And I want to say one more thing. Sure. You know, I want to make it really clear that nobody, not Robyn, not myself, nobody's trying to like take away these people's ability to make money and to ruin their lives. I mean, this is how I made my living for many, many years. I saw many people whose lives were transformed by amazing surgeries like Mohs repair after skin cancer removal. Like Robyn said earlier, After bariatric, surgery, having, the extra skin contoured to their body. These are surgeries that I think are hugely beneficial to people. A breast lift, maybe, for a woman who's had a child and makes her feel like $1,000,000. I think all of that's great. I don't promote excessive plastic surgery. I do want surgeons to start recognizing these women. That is all. Be transparent, because people are going to respect you and trust you even more if you are. And let's just like keep the conversation going. But like, we're certainly not trying to ruin anyone's livelihood. I just want these surgeons to remember that these women who you're calling crazy are the women who paid for the roof over your head and the fancy car you're driving. So, don't forget that.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a good point. And, I had a doctor, and I do still see him occasionally just because I love him, and I'll go back every now and then. But one of the visits that I went in, it was during my perimenopause, and just I had so many issues as I went through that. And I felt crazy. I felt like I was literally going crazy. And he was one of the ones that he sat there with me for 45 minutes, which how many of them do that?
Aw,
And
nice.
sat there with 45 minutes, and we chatted, and he told me how he felt like he did such an injustice for so many years to so many women by playing off their menopause and telling them, yeah, it's just your age. It's just, yeah, you're take an antidepressant. I mean, he shared with me all this. And then over the years, how his eyes were open. He started researching. He really dug in and started learning more. And he said, I've completely changed my direction in how I help women now.
Aw,
It was so incredible.
that's beautiful.
It was so empowering and encouraging to me that, wow, how many women are you going to help now,
Mhm.
by recognizing that. So I think it is just, it is, it's again, it's being your own advocate. It's like you said, we are not trying to stop anyone from doing anything, because
Mhm.
to each his own what they want to do. It's
Mhm.
just like you said, let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep creating awareness. Let's show women alternatives for things that you can also be doing for your inner health, and also for outer health, for beauty, holistic. I just think these are the conversations. And I think a lot of the women, from what feedback I get, want to hear it. And they want to know, well, what are you doing? If you're not doing all that, then what are you doing? And I'll share the things I'm doing, or the products I'm using, or
Yeah.
that is the conversations that I would love to see continue. And I think it's on y'all's hearts too.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, is there anything you want to add? Anything we might have forgot? Or I mean, I could ask a million questions, because I would still love to even know more on the holistic side, and castor oil packs, which is another thing that
Love them.
I
Love
know,
them.
I know you do. And I want to dig deeper into learning more about those. And like I said, the lymphatic, I'd like to go to someone to actually
Yeah.
do that.
We could have a million conversations about it.
Yeah.
With the castor oil packs, I just want to quickly say, because people don't think about it, nobody told us that we needed to detox our livers on a regular basis.
So
And I
important.
read something once, and I hope that I have the number right. 90% of people function off of only 10% of their true liver ability. And so unless we continue to detox it, we're going to run into problems, right? Because our liver is what filters
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And so castor oil packs are an amazing way. You just have a bottle of castor oil. I pour it on this little pad that wraps around my body. There's one that I use, Queen of Thrones, that I like a lot. I sell on my
I follow
Instagram.
her. She's great. She's got great info too.
And I sleep better because, during the years that I was really sick, I would wake up at 3 a.m, unable to fall back asleep. And you'll hear that from a lot of people. And liver can do that. Your liver, if it's over. And of course, so many of ours are going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Also, you have to remember that I have never spoken to a woman personally who has breast implants who doesn't have a degree of gut issues. And, disease starts in the gut. And so when I started my holistic breast team, to assist our patients. I knew I had to find somebody who is great at healing the gut. And I recommend that to every woman who I've assisted. I said, even if you don't do it immediately, doesn't need to be done immediately after explant, you must heal your gut. I think that that is something that we all should know to do. And I last healed mine in 2020 or 21. I'm going to be doing it fully again. I take a comprehensive gut test, and it tells you all your good and bad gut flora. And everybody's guts are different. So yours is different than mine. It's different than Robyn's. But then you're given, like, usually a 12-week protocol of supplementation to help balance all of your flora. It makes such a huge difference. And so all of these things are things we just weren't taught. We weren't taught to also add minerals. Did your parents ever tell you to take your minerals?
No.
Well, we used to get our minerals from the soil that our fruits and vegetables were grown in, but now everything's so genetically modified and the soils are stripped of nutrients. But just to piggyback on what Amanda said about, supplementing and such and detox protocols, I hope that everyone knows to just make sure you're being followed and treated by a practitioner that's doing the workup to find out what you're deficient in, because then they can properly supplement and then know what your genetic mutations are and what kind of forms of supplements you need to be taking. So it's not that I'm anti the detox. It's just it has to be done right. And you have to go to a practitioner who really knows how to work with patients like that. So please reach out to Amanda and I. We know a ton of people in the community that are willing to help with that. And I really discourage people from just seeing a BII woman on Instagram or something and saying, oh, you did a liver detox, I want to do it too. And then she sends her a link and, you buy stuff online. That can actually be very dangerous to do it that way. So
that is such a good point, because I think that happens a lot. And I know just for my own clients, well, I'm doing this detox and well, I bought this cleanse over here and that. But it's like, well, what are the other things that you're also doing to help release that? And I'm also I'm a fan of colonics and
yes, me too.
and I believe it's another way to clear out. And so there's so much that goes hand in hand, and it does get someone that can walk you through and help you in it. Don't just try something because this influencer over here put that on her page, and that looks amazing. And I mean, reach out to Robyn and people like Amanda. And I will have all your info in the show notes on where to best get in touch with you. But like they said, they don't, they're not making a lot of money or any money out there talking about the breast implant illness. But they're there to help you and to guide you and be an advocate. And I know for you, Amanda, I mean, you do have a health coaching business also.
Yeah, I mean, I was too busy with patients before to really be able to do much of that. I was, like I said, we did 4 a week that I was getting ready for surgery and helping with afterwards. I've since left Western medicine, and it was just time for me. I've never put myself first, and I have so many more things that I want to do. So I have some really exciting things that are going to be coming out after the new year, and I will always be there for patients. I've never wavered on that. Always happy to help. I don't share medical advice on social media, but I can speak to my experience and what worked for me.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Well, and I'll just say, all of us, we're not 20 or 30-year-olds. And I just turned 59. And Amanda, you said you just turned 50.
Yeah.
And Robyn, remind me.
I'm 51. I just turned 51.
So I wanted to point that out, because of course mine is called Your Age Is Not Your Cage. It's like you have all of us women here. Now I can say everyone's over 50. That we are more, I feel like, and from what I've learned about you two, more passionate, more energetic. We feel healthier, better than I ever did in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. And it's like, I'm just ready to go now, and I can tell that you both are too. And so I absolutely love it. And I'm just so honored you both came on here, and I just love hearing your experiences, your stories, and just helping you and your paths to create awareness too. And Yeah, I just
Thank you.
enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah.
Maybe
We
we'll
need
get to meet
inspire.
up sometime.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And we need to inspire the youth. I'm now, we'll wrap this up, but I'm doing talks with teens just about the pitfalls of some of these cosmetic procedures and just encouraging them to do their homework, just everything we've been talking about, but at a younger age because the pressure.
Yeah.
When I started seeing all of these gals at, 18 getting filler and Botox years ago, it really, really troubled me because I know that I was kind of forced into it working in the industry at too young of an age. But this ageism, it's got to stop because it's not even real.
Yeah, it's not. Robyn and I touched on that a little bit about just, pouring into the next generation and being an example that it is okay if we're aging. It's okay if we have some wrinkles. It shows our life well lived. It shows laughter. And so I love that you're doing those talks too. And I don't know. I just think you're both going to be so inspiring to so many. And I just thank you so much for joining me on here.
Thank you, Carla.
All right. Well, we will, we may update and do some more down the road. But in the meantime, I just encourage the listeners to follow you both and check the show notes for all your contact information and just stay aware and keep inspiring.
Oh, thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you both so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.